Lars Jung, skiathlon race today. Can you take us through the classic and the skating part?
Yeah, it's a really nice course. If you started with the classic, it's a lot of climb out of the stadium, which is a good one when we have a mass start, a lot of people. So I would say it's a fair classic track, maybe not the hardest one, but with these conditions today, it will be challenging for sure. And over to the skate part, I think from the exchange all the way to the top of Mördarbacken, that's a crucial part of this track, and I think a lot will be determined with the strongest skiers in that part. And looking at the finish as well, we know it familiar from yesterday, the sprint course. It's a tough but fair finish also, I think. So great courses here in Falun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Patricia Duka, it's skiathlon. How does that suit you?
So far good, but we will see how it will go today.
And how is the motivation and the shape now after Olympics?
It's better than I thought actually, but yes, all week after 50k I felt really bad and motivation was zero to come to Falun, but yesterday was a good day, so I'm also positive looking forward for today's race.
What kind of plan have you made for the skiathlon?
Not so much, just to see how the group is going and trying to stay with the group and don't overpace at the beginning.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
One race next year, Falun. One, only one.
You know how much work it takes for one race?
Lilian, you had a great sprint day yesterday. Today, skiathlon. What is your plan?
Yeah, I mean, I had a great day yesterday. I think I'm feeling good. I've been feeling good. So I'll hang on for dear life out there and hopefully be able to catch my breath more on the skate part.
How does skiathlon suit you?
I think it's good, but yes, definitely the second half in skate is better for me. But if I can stay in classic, yeah, I think I have good chances to have a good result out there today.
3 weekends left after this one. How is the motivation and the shape feeling?
The motivation is high. It hasn't been an easy season for me so far, but I'm coming back, and yeah, there's still so many good races for me for the rest of this season, so I'm pretty hyped. And going back to North America, close to home, that'll be cool. So yeah.
Good luck today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilian.
Welcome back to the sun going down on the Falun Stadium venue in Falun, Sweden, central Sweden, the site of this 8th stop of the FIS Cross-Country World Cup Tour in this 2026 season. The immediate post-Olympic course has been a great place to get back into ski racing on the World Cup circuit on these trails that will be the World Championship trails for the 2027 Worlds here in Falun. The men have gone earlier today in the 20-kilometer skiathlon, which the women will now contest on the same course as the men. They'll do 2 10-kilometer races. The first half in a classic technique, the second half in the freestyle. And you're seeing the courses. The red course will be used for the classic technique, and the blue course will be used for freestyle. With me, as always, is Olympic champion Keegan Randall. And Keegan, we saw a great men's race today. It kind of comes down to a 2-horse race, maybe a 3-horse race. But Frida Carlson, the Olympic champion in this event, and the 50-kilometer is in today's race. Ebba Anderson, the 50K champion, is not. The skiathlon champion is, and you'll see her in bib number 5. But they'll all be chasing Jessie Diggins in bib 1. How do you stack up this race between your former teammate and the great Frida Carlson, who's absolutely on fire right now?
Well, this is a great matchup for today because when we think about the 2 records coming in, Jessie Diggins is Miss Falun. Like this venue has been so good for her for over 14 years. I went back and looked at her first World Cup was back in 2012 here. So just an outstanding record on this course. She's also been strong all season as the overall World Cup leader. But Frida Carlson, as the opposite, didn't race a whole lot early on, came on so strong at the Olympics, and when you look back at her record, she has not performed well here in Falun.
So Jessie Diggins did win her first skiathlon in the early part of the season. She won it in December in Trondheim, Norway, the site of last year's World Championships. And it was a bit of a surprise, big noise. I think you and I both were really surprised that Jessie won a skiathlon, which was not her strong point, but she proved that she could classic ski with the best of them. She was in great shape then. And she struggled in the skiathlon for sure in the Olympic Games in Italy. Those are the two previous skiathlons she's done this year. Some success in one, not so much in the other. How does this course compare to the course to Frida Carlson compared to the course that she won on, and how does it compare to the one that Jessie Diggins won on earlier this year?
Well, unfortunately, we didn't get a fair chance to see, I think, where Jessie could really stack up in that Olympic skiathlon because, of course, she was caught in a crash early on that caused the bruised ribs. And that was the day we saw Frida Carlson just absolutely on fire. She won the race by 51 seconds. So this course, though, if we think back to the Trondheim course in December, I think they're a little bit more similar than that Olympic course was. So what we have here shaping up is just an awesome drama because we don't know what's going to happen. Like, we have these storylines that we can point to, but everyone's coming in with a different trajectory right now. You've also got Heidi Weng, who has been like kind of subtly there all season, is coming away from the Olympics with 2 medals. You've got we don't have Ebba Anderson in the mix, and she, of course, has been also one of the multiple medalists from the Olympics. So just, yeah, so many athletes that could come in and be strong today.
So you mentioned Ebba Anderson is not present. Teresa Stadlober is not on the start either. She's a competitive ski athlete. Astrid Slind not here. Kertu Niskanen is absent. Jonas Sundling not on the start, and Johanna Mattenthaler had a winner today. A lot of big names not here. How does that stack up for? How does that change the field? Do you see how this will play out?
Well, yeah, some of those names that you've said are certainly athletes that we've seen take charge of the pace, try different strategies on this course. So to have them missing today does change the dynamic of the pack. But I think that's also speaks to where we're at in the season. You know, in order to stay healthy, in order to have the energy to make it all the way to this point of the season. You know, there's some athletes that have really proven they've got the mix, and Heidi Weng is one of them right there. They're number 4.
Athletes are lined up on the 8th of 12 stops of this World Cup season. And just about, as you heard Cindy Deerhog say, we're about 3 weeks away from the finish, but there's 4 more venues still to visit beyond this. 2 races in Lahti, Finland next weekend. One in sprint in Drammen later that week. Oslo the following weekend. We'll have a 50K on the 14th of March. And then the world will come to Lake Placid to close out Jessie Diggins' ski career on a world level. But first, it's the skiathlon in Falun. Somewhat abnormally long wait period for that gun to go off, but they're often running in Falun, in Dalarna, where the Mora Vasalo bit was going on just down the road, about 50 kilometers away from Falun, maybe a little further, 80 kilometers away. But that has probably stole some of the thunder of this competition, as the Mora Vasalo is the most attended and famous ski race in Sweden. This is a long-standing tradition to ski the 90 kilometers from Salin to Mora. But these athletes will just be doing 20 kilometers from Falun to Falun, right on the, from red course to blue course. And back in the stadium, they'll do 3 laps of the 3.3 kilometer red loop and come in, exchange their skis, and do 2 courses of the blue 5 kilometer. It's a beautiful day. It snowed before the men's race, then stopped during the men's race, snowed before the women's race, and stopped again now. And the temperature's just above freezing. So there's been Keegan's been on the waxing task. What are we hearing from the techs on site?
Well, after a warm day yesterday, it snowed overnight, and it's been snowing intermittently throughout the day today. For the men's race this morning, there was a lot of jostling around before the race as athletes tried to decide whether to go with kick wax or to go with the hairies, or those fine hairs on the bottom of their ski. Sometimes we call it zero skis. And most of the men did end up going on zero skis, and it looked like it was it worked pretty well. but it started snowing again before the women. So the women have also been in this dilemma of whether or not to go with kick wax or Harry's. And the word was many of the athletes had brought both pairs of skis to the start and were waiting till the last minute to decide which way they were going to go. And I can tell you from having been in that position, it is nerve-wracking trying to decide because they're racing 10 kilometers in Classic today. And while it's not the hilliest course for Classic, there's a lot of gliding out there, and so you have to have that right balance of kick and glide.
Yeah, we saw that in the men's race. You pointed out that the athletes who sat at the front for most of that race looked like they had a little bit freer skis during the Classic session. That some of the skiers like Gus Schumacher and the Chase Pack had good Classic skis kick-wise, but maybe just didn't have that extra little bit of speed by having a thin kick zone. Diggins out in the lead in the yellow bib on the right. To her left. To her right, our left is Heidi Weng. Waiting to see where Frida Carlson is. She was near the front there, but not taking charge yet at 2 minutes and 40 seconds into this competition. Men took 48 minutes, really fast conditions.
Which is impressive because the skate course in particular, so there's a famous hill on this course called the Murderbakken, and in the Classic race they will go up what's called the mini Murderbakken. It's just kind of the side of it, and they'll do that 3 times, but then on the skate course they go up the full hill twice, and they made it look like it was a minor blip on the radar. It was impressive to see the speed they were traveling.
At the front, Frida Carlson chasing the current leader Heidi Weng for Norway, and behind them we saw Carolina Simpson Larsen in bib number 3, bib number 9 to the right behind Carlson now on the right side of your screen. That is Norwegian Kristin Aaskulen Posnes. She is gold medal in the first gold medal of her career at a championship event in the Olympic relay. Norwegian's a surprise winner after Ebba Anderson had a shocking tumble. A couple of falls and a big tumble. There you see bib number 6 right now. That is Maya Dahlqvist. She is choosing to ski the distance race today. She's doing well in the distance standing. Dahlqvist, her best season so far in the long distance events.
Well, Dahlqvist is 31 now, and I think while she's been known best as a sprinter, the nice thing about doing a lot of racing throughout your career is it seems like the distance skills can really sharpen towards the end, and I'm sure it's actually helping her sprinting as well to be doing all these distance races.
For Dahlqvist, her success in the distance skiing this year all started with a 9th place in the second race in Ruka in the 20-kilometer mass start. I think she was excited about that. I remember talking to Kevin Bolger, her significant other. He said she was just thrilled to be top 10 in Ruka in a distance race. Then she went and threw down a 4th place a few weeks later in Davos in the 10-kilometer interval start. And so she had nearly got on the podium in 4th place. And had another 9th place in a few weeks later in Toblach in the 5K heat mass start, the kind of controversial new race of the Tour de Ski. And then she, another top 10, almost another top 5. She was 6th in the Oberhof 10K interval classic right before the Olympics. And I think it's giving, you look at that string of events, you've never seen Maya Dahlqvist in the top 10 in distance like that in any year past. So she's really enjoying that.
She is, but she's going to have to put the gas on here because a little gap already forming over the top of the small Murderbakken here.
She's in 13th place, so maybe much ado about nothing, but she has enjoyed her time as a distance skier with a reputation of being nearly a pure sprinter. Now 3 at the front, and looks like Carlson, Weng, and Diggins. This is very reminiscent of just over a week ago in the 50K at the Olympics.
Well, really, since Christmas, we've missed the full matchup of like all the best players in the field. It seems like we've got most of them, but there's always been 1 or 2 missing. I mean, we think about the Olympics. Diggins falls in the skiathlon, so we don't get to see exactly how she swaps up in that one. The 10K was a good individual start. That was a good matchup of everybody. But by the time we got to the 50K, of course, Frida Carlson was out. Now we come to this weekend, and Slind didn't have a good 50K. Now here we got Anderson and Slind out, but we've got Frida and Jessie in, and Weng is there. So yeah, it just really goes to show you how hard it is to put together racing weekend after weekend.
We're just coming up 6.5 minutes into this 20-kilometer event. We've gone through the 1.4-kilometer mark in 5 minutes flat. And already a little bit of separation from the top three. Jessie Diggins matching the stride for stride for Heidi Weng in the lead. Christina Osgren-Fosnes in there with right behind Diggins. But marking Weng is Frida Carlson. Then there's the two Swiss skiers. That's 13, Nadja Kalin. She's got the silver and bronze medals from the Olympic Games in the team sprint and the 50K. She put on a huge burst of power on the final climb, the Zorzi Collabo climb, and Nadja Kalin put distance between herself and Jessie Diggins to take the final bronze medal in that 50K. And Kalin, at 24 years of age, is kind of a star of the future now.
And with that medal-winning performance comes a lot of confidence, because physiologically, sometimes you are so close to making it in there, but if you don't believe that you can go at the pace, particularly in these mass start races, then you can be, a 10th could be a good day instead of a medal. And so I think now that Kalin has had multiple times when she knows she's right in there, she's skiing with that kind of confidence, and you can see how she's following this pace right now.
So we've got a group of 6 with a 7th skier off the back. In that group of 6 is Heidi Weng, Frida Carlson, Jessie Diggins, Nadja Kalin, and Christina Osgren-Fosnes, Anja Weber from Switzerland, and Nadja Kalin from Switzerland. Swiss, 2 skis up front, and they're not Nadine Fendrick, so a bright future for them as they go with the number at the front. And then Vilma Ryhti from Finland at the very back, trying to hang with the leaders. Ryhti has a personal best finish of 5th earlier this season in the freestyle and toe block sprint. And trying to do one better here in the skiathlon and hang with the leaders.
I see Allison Mackey there in the green bib. She's the top U23 racer. Also had some kind of standout results at the Olympics and is a bright spot for Canada.
Yeah, the Canadian women really stood out in the Olympic Games. They didn't win hardware, but they were, for their age group, they were probably pound for pound the best team out there at their age. Most of them under 25 years of age. And Allison Mackey skiing absolutely great at those games. But Sophia Schmidt did not quite have the game that I think we maybe expected her to have. And even with that asterisk, they still did great.
And it looks like Kendall Kramer is also right there with Allison Mackey. So we've got a few Americans in the field today.
Yeah, Kendall Kramer wearing bib 35, ski graduate of the University of Alaska Fairbanks, first-time Olympian this year, having a great season. She's chasing this lead pack now. I should point out the other Americans. Rosie Brennan is in bib 28 today. And Novi McCabe in bib 42 and Haley Sorbo in bib 45. Those are your American starters.
And I believe we have Emma Albrecht as well.
Oh, Emma Albrecht, yes. Excuse me. I started, I had her at the bottom. I never highlighted it correctly. Emma Albrecht, her mother, Bonnie Weiskopf, good friend of mine, a former NCSA college champion, her mom, back in the early 1990s. Sorry, Bonnie, didn't mean to age you there, but great to have your daughter on the World Cup.
Yeah, and a great experience for Emma to come over and see what World Cup racing is like as the Continental Cup leader from U.S.
So that lead group of 3 has now been swallowed back up by a relatively large group again. It's swallowed to about 20 people by the end of the trail there. And the question is, when is somebody going to go out, and is Frida Carlson going to take over control of this race? You see Maya Douglas back in the number there as well. The number 6 on the second from the center right. But Diggins now leading. And she loves that. That's where she nobody's getting away from her. That's probably her plan.
Well, and for a lot of her career, she has not been as strong at Classic. But we've really seen that change. And if you look at this venue, she's actually had some of her best Classic races here. She's been on the podium or just outside the podium in multiple Classic races here. So she loves this, and I think she's feeling strong. She seemed to come on stronger again through the Olympics. You know, Frida Carlson, remember, missed the 50K because she was sick. So she's returning from illness. So that could be a factor of why she's being a little bit more cautious right now.
The pack still together at the 3.3 kilometer mark. There are bonus points for World Cup points at both the 5.4 kilometer mark and the 14 kilometer mark. 15 points for first, 12 for second, 10 for third, and then 1 point from there, 8 for fourth, and then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 down to 10th. And those are just little preems in the race to break up the racing action and give, when things are tight for an overall World Cup title, as we saw a few years ago between Lynn Swan and Jessie Diggins, those points started to matter in that overall World Cup Crystal Globe win. And but Diggins with a nice lead right now in the overall World Cup standing. She's got a lead of 219 points over Moa Ilar. Ilar looking for her in the order here. She's down a little ways. She is actually in this lead group at the last time check, but at the back of it in 11th spot. So we'll want to watch for her. She is in bib number 2. But right now, Diggins, there's Ilar, center of your screen right now. Running in just outside the top 10, it looks like.
Yeah, coming into the Olympics, Diggins and Ilar were two kind of headline athletes that had raced every single race all season. A contrast to some other athletes who had prioritized racing less in order to have energy at the Olympics, like Frida Carlson.
Well, Jessie Diggins looking very confident so far in this classic 10 kilometer. They're coming up on the 4.7 kilometer mark, so they're on their second of 3 loops. You see bib 15, the young Daria Nepraeva, 23 years of age, a independent neutral athlete. And Kendall Kramer just off this chase back here in your picture, bib 35. Having a very good race. That's a great performance by Kramer so far. Kramer's best World Cup finish is a 18th in the 10 kilometer freestyle in Konya last season. A lot of people's best races are in Konya. It was a relatively small field ahead of the World Championship, so you see a lot of PBs in that competition, and Kendall Kramer was one of them in 21st. Diggins now slipping a little bit, forcing the pace at the front. Frida Carlson on your left, moving up on Jessie Diggins' skier's right.
Well, it looked like Frida Carlson was trying to throw a punch there, and Diggins just countered her shoulder to shoulder and kind of sent a signal of like, I'm feeling right with you here. And then Nepraeva has now moved her way up into that top pack.
She's on the right there in the gray, white, and black suit, or gray, white, and two-tone gray and white, I should say. Bib 15, she has not ever been on a podium, and really not quite near one. But Diggins is looking good here. She's forcing the pace. Heidi Weng looks like she's struggling, as does Frida Carlson. We should point out, Frida Carlson did not race the 50K at the Olympic Games because she fell ill. And that wasn't that long ago. That was only 7 days ago. So she might still be feeling the ills of her illness.
Lynn Swan, a bib lower down in the bib numbers because she's not really ranked in distance this year, but she's moving up.
Kendall Kramer in 15th spot now right now. That would be a personal best for her. She can hang on all the way to the 20 kilometer mark. And some athletes we would expect to see up there. Drivnes, not having a very good one for Norway. She's in 20th place.
Rosie Brennan coming through there.
And in the top 30, 26th place. And bib 26 through there was the Norwegian Lotte Weng in 27th spot. 300 meters to the bonus sprint points. Diggins acting like the World Cup leader today.
Yeah, well, she doesn't need the points. I think she wants the points.
So a group now of 7, and joining that group at the back is, just remember, I think that is Svan though. Chasing the Swiss athlete. Yes, 32, that is Lynn Svan at the back of the group. Olympic champion in the sprint, in the classic sprint. Diggins skis working very well on these climbs. She looks like she's got the speed and the kick she needs, and she takes the 15 points at the cheese wheel. Falun gets 4. Elar gets 3, but Elar off the pace. And that's not what she wanted to come here and do today. Weber has dropped off the pace just a little bit, as well as Lundgren. They're tied at 9th for those extra points for World Cup standing. About a half a lap of this 3.3 kilometer loop to go. Lap and a half total left in this classic leg. They're halfway around the second loop. They do three loops of 3.3K. And Diggins has led most of it.
Yeah, I think she is looking very strong, very confident, and I think the fact that we're not seeing Frida Carlson try and pull away here means she's not as confident in where she's at today, unless she's waiting for the big climb on the Murderbakken.
Well, Keegan, when you've been sick and you don't know where you are, you kind of come in with a little trepidation.
It is tough. I mean, even with like the dominating performances that she had at the Olympics, where she should be feeling so confident, to have to miss the 50K, just probably has her a little bit unsure. And she's been one of those athletes that seems to be a bit more fragile. You know, can be really up, but can also, you know, quickly get compromised.
If they're together at the ski exchange and get into freestyle, what are the chances of Frida Carlson dropping Jessie Diggins once they get on the freestyle ski?
Not very good. I mean, I think the way Jessie is skiing right now, the way she is skied at this venue, this is a course that really suits her. Frida Carlson would have to make a pretty decisive move on the Murderbakken and then be able to stay away. Because remember, it's not just the climb, it's how you handle all the gliding after that as well.
Coming through the second of 3 laps in this 3.3 kilometer red course, it is Jessie Diggins at the lead. She's got in tow with her in this lead pack Heidi Weng, Frida Carlson, Daria Nepreva, Kristina Fosnes, Nadja Kalin, Lynn Svan, and then it's a gap to Moa Elar leading the chase group. They'll go one more time over this 3.3 kilometer red loop before switching to the freestyle skis and going around the 5 kilometer blue loop. Earlier this week at the conclusion of the Olympic Games, Peacock launched Jessie Diggins' documentary called Threshold. And Keegan, it was a very raw and emotional look at Jessie Diggins' life. And I think it certainly turned my head, and it made me realize just how hard Jessie Diggins can be on herself when things aren't going well. And I was just wondering, what was your reaction? Have you seen the film, and what was your first take on it?
I have seen the film, and I'll echo that, yes, it was very raw, and it definitely gave us a glimpse inside the struggle and the balance that she's been trying to maintain through her career, and just how you can have this amazing strength, you know, that drives you to be one of the best athletes in the world, but it can be equally destructive. And what's been so key for Jessie is to have the right team around her, because there were very critical points where things could have gotten very serious, even life-threatening. And the fact that her family and the fact that the team was willing to, and it's a tough situation because the athletes don't always want to listen, but they, you know, by approaching it kind of out of just sheer concern, they were able to steer things back to the right direction. And I think it's a really great example for a lot of athletes that are kind of facing this similar type of thinking that, and it's only going to compound. Like, you know, this is something that can be helped and can be turned around into some magical performances.
Yeah, I thought it was incredibly brave of her to first of all, I thought it was brave of her to release her book several years ago, highlighting all the struggles she went through with eating disorder. She did it to try to help the cause of that problem, and I think it's been great. The reception of the book has been awesome. I think the autobiography and Threshold in film form is a little more insider, because you actually see her reactions to things. And one of the things I thought about is she, on this course in 2015, she won the silver medal in the 10K freestyle. And at the start of the show, she's going through a medal box with with the film on her, and she pulls that medal out and says, "Didn't deserve that one," and and just kind of moves on. And I was like, I kind of thought, wow, that's really harsh on yourself. That you won a silver medal at the World Championships and you just pass it off as like you didn't deserve it. And I understand. We both know why she felt that way. There was funny conditions, and she took the silver medal, but she still won the silver medal at the World Championships. I thought it was harsh on herself, but it makes me kind of I want to embrace her more after seeing that, after hearing that, and I think that's the reaction of a lot of folks right now.
Well, I think it was, the original intent of having the filmmakers follow along that season was for a completely different storyline, but unbeknownst to most people, there was this other storyline going on, and so they kind of pivoted and they were able to capture, like almost in real time, that story unfolding, and I think that is a really powerful example. It's one of those things that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but is pretty pervasive in this sport. Having that right strength to weight ratio really matters, and being driven to really push yourself matters, but it can go unhealthy very quickly, and glad to see that she can be a positive example on how to keep it going on the right track.
Patrick Dempsey, the executive producer of the film Threshold, the Brinkema brothers did a great job with it. A couple of Minnesota boys, and it's now free to watch on Peacock. If you have Peacock, watch Threshold. It's a great story about Jessie Diggins, and we hope you tune into that. Meanwhile, in Sweden, there's some business to still be done, and Jessie Diggins is at the front of that business being done, and she's pushing the pace in the first half of this classic half of the 20-kilometer skiathlon. She is starting to shred the field. You can see Frida Carlson is struggling to keep pace with Heidi Weng and Jessie Diggins now. And coming up the small Murderbakken, as you call it, or heading towards it, this will be the final time around for Classic. They'll go to the skate skis, and as you said, Keegan, it's tough to beat Jessie in freestyle.
Well, she's such a good head-to-head racer too. Like, even if her energy reserves are getting low, she will be able, by staying in the pack, she does a great job of figuring out those micro moments to kind of conserve energy and make a big push at the end. But to me, she looks like energy is good, and this is their last time up the big climb in Classic, and then we'll get to switch to skate.
Her last time up in the Classic technique in Falun in her career, as you said, a storied career at this venue, and it's been one of the places that she's actually gained her confidence in the Classic. Look at Kendall Kramer, 8th place now, having a spectacular race to be the second American through, and she's just 9.4 seconds off the pace. Kendall Kramer has always been seen as a talent, and she's proving it today in the top 10 for the first time.
Well, typically we would say one of the harder periods in the season to have a big result is here in Scandinavia, because we have a strong nations group from Sweden. You do have some athletes who are coming off of really strong performances, but it's also when a lot of people start to run out of energy, and it's great to see Kendall skiing so strong there.
Kendall she got to race the 50K at the Olympics, and a great experience for her there. She finished 26th in the 50K there and finished 38th in the 10-kilometer freestyle. So 2 Olympic races under her belt. She made her first Olympic team earlier this winter in January. And there she is. She's double pulling her way right up to the lead pack. Great foot runner, I should say. She's NCAA All-American Division I cross-country runner. So she's clearly got the aerobic engine to fuel a high-level performance in endurance sport. Jessie Diggins now a little bit of daylight opening up between Frida Carlson, Heidi Weng. Diggins skiing side by side with Christina Oskulin-Fosnes, but close that gap pretty quickly.
Like I said, I think Jessie is really good at knowing where she needs to push and where she can leave a little bit of a gap, because you exert so much more effort to get extra inches on the climb. But if you are smart and you can get it right back on the downhill, it doesn't cost you anything.
There is Kendall Kramer, 35. She's the highest bib number in that group. And Svan with a pretty high bib number as well, 32. But they basically, you're chosen off of your ranking in the world in distance for this race and amongst the people in this race. So She's Kendall Kramer not ranked 35th in the world. In fact, her world ranking is 95th in the overall standings and 65th in distance skiing. So really putting an outsized performance out there today. It's fun to see those breakout performances, especially when they're wearing the Stars and Stripes.
It really is, and I think for a lot of athletes that choose to race NCAA, you know, it's a period where you end up spending most of your time racing in the United States, so you don't get as much experience on the World Cup, and so then you finish your eligibility and you start to race internationally more full time, and there's an adjustment period. You have to spend time racing, getting used to being in Europe for long periods of time, and I think Kendall now, having had the races throughout the season and been on the road, you know, she might be just getting it figured out. And that's great, because if you have the patience to get through that period of a little bit more volatility, then you can just start getting more and more consistently up there.
And Kendall Kramer right at the back, still a little bit yo-yoing off the back of this group, but she's ahead of Maya Dahlquist and Moa Elar, the number 2 skier in the world at this point in this skiathlon. And they're trying to get back on. There's Dahlquist at the back and Moa Elar right on the heels of Kendall Kramer. Then number 10 through, Nora Sanas. Number 7, that is the German, Pia Fink. And number 3, Carolina Simpson-Larsen, had a great period 1 and period 2 and hasn't done much since. And here comes the lead pack into the stadium now. They will exchange their skis and go to the freestyle technique when they come through the stadium here.
If they come to the exchange, this is where you want to just, you want to have a good fast transition, and that comes from practice, but you have a lot more to lose if you just get flustered and mess it up. So they've just got to take a deep breath here, focus on getting out of those classic bindings into the skate bindings, grab the right poles, and then just be ready to feel a little bit awkward, because that muscle switch over just never feels that great, but
Diggins clicks in, comes in first, but leaves near the middle back of the pack. And it is Heidi Weng leading out of the exchange zone. And you've got number 5, that is Frida Carlson.
Kramer looked like maybe she struggled a little bit in the transition there. He's now fallen behind Elar and Dahlquist.
It might be her first skiathlon of her career. I have to look, but you know, she hasn't had a lot of opportunities. We don't do a lot of skiathlon domestically in the United States in the college ranks, so it's probably her first international. I'm going to take a look and see if I can find some info on that. But doing very well. I mean, I'm really impressed with Kendall Kramer today. This is a great race for her, and it could be a kind of a career-transforming day for her.
Absolutely.
So Frida Carlson at the front, bib number 5. Looks like she's kind of slowing things down a little bit. Like the pace is kind of backed off a little bit since the exchange into the freestyle.
Yeah, I think the key to this course, now they're on the 5K blue course, is they're going to go up the full Murderbakken Hill, and they're going to do it pretty quick. They kind of come up through the field here, they'll turn and go back down for a bit and then head up the big climb. And I think if there's a point where Frida Carlson or Heidi Weng want to try to make a move, it's going to have to be on that, because if they continue to wait, I think Jessie Diggins is in the driver's seat.
Kendall Kramer getting a drink there, bib 35, still off the back of the group. She does have a skiathlon experience. It was the Trondheim, she raced the Trondheim World Cup earlier this year, finished 48th in that event, and she was, in terms of time back, at 48th place, she was 3:57 off the lead, so nearly 4 minutes back. And this is going to be a sight better if she can hang on to the group now. But the group's kind of skiing away from her just a little bit now. So great classic leg. That'll give her a lot of confidence moving forward, regardless of how the second half goes.
Well, this is where experience would really come into play, because she's just dangling off that pack right now. And I'm sure, you know, you're over 10 kilometers into a race, you get tired. But if she can just push now and bridge up to that gap, it's gonna actually make the second half of this race a lot easier. But when you're hurting, it's hard to remind yourself to just try and pick it up. But the lead of this pack is not pressing quite yet. So now we're coming into the Murderbakken.
She's got Nora Sanas of Norway and Pia Fink chasing from behind. Possibly Anja Weber in there as well. She's got some good skiers too. She is not able to bridge up. She's got some skiers to work with to pull forward. But the Americans clearly have, at least in the case of Kendall Kramer and Jessie Diggins, they nailed the skis today for the classic leg. There's Kramer in the background.
A huge relief just to get through the classic leg, knowing the skis worked pretty well, because the American team always shines on the skate.
Well, you see the Murderbakken, the big Murderbakken, as you said, 615 meters in length. Diggins happy to sit in the pack right now. She hasn't gone to the front or forced the pace since going to the freestyle.
As they climb up this pitch here, which is kind of the max percent grade, you can see the ski jump in the background there. Essentially, the Murderbakken mirrors the outrun of the ski jump. So you're climbing all the way up, and those are championship jumps. So you got a 90 meter and a 120 meter there. So this is a monster of a hill.
So your lead group now is Frida Carlson in the front, Heidi Weng in second. Heidi Weng has not won a single race this season, but she's had a good season. She's had 5 podium finishes in 11 starts, so almost 50% podiums in her starts this season. Sitting 10th in the overall standings. Has 2 seconds and 3 third place finishes, and she would love to have a win.
The way Frida Carlson races, when she's on, she goes for it, and she looks very conservative to me. I don't think she really knows where her body is at today, and she is playing it safe.
Heidi Weng last won a individual World Cup race in Val di Fiemme, January 4th, 2022. It's been 4 long years since Heidi Weng won a race. Could this be her day? Kendall Kramer's hanging on to 10th place now, 19 seconds back. Still right at the sharp end of the spear here. For Kramer in the top 10 in a field of 49, excuse me.
Well, and Weng has twice finished second to Diggins when they've been in the 20K skate mass start format here in Falun in the last 2 years. So she knows how to put together the final kilometer and be in the hunt for the medals. But Diggins has bested her both times.
A potentially big last 5 kilometer loop about to unfold. Coming down the final kilometers of the first of 2 5 kilometer loops. They have bonus points at the 14 kilometer mark, which is fast approaching. They've gone through the 11.4 kilometer mark. Next time check will be for the points. 15 points for first to the line, 12 for second, 10 for third, 8 for fourth, and then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 down to 10th. They're not huge amounts of points, but they can make a difference when things are tight.
Yeah, maybe not for the win right now, but for certainly the podium positions. Dahlquist is trailing Elar, and both of them are pretty close in this race today.
Got a pretty good tight race for the top 10 between Simpson Larson in 9th and Heidi Weng in 10th. Heidi Weng will shoot up to the standings. A lot of people that could use points today in this with those sprints are not on the start order today. There's a lot of tight races out there, but mostly between people who are not in the race. Carlson steps aside and tells Heidi Weng, why don't you take a stab at setting the pace?
Yeah, a lot of gamesmanship going on in this women's race so far, which you don't always see. Generally, the women go out and try to kill each other.
I'm going to say we never see it. We never see this. And rarely do you see Jessie Diggins on freestyle skis not going out and trying to punish the rest of the field. Perhaps late in her career, a little bit of tactics.
Yeah, well, there's still, I mean, this being a 5K loop, you know, they've got one more full lap to go after this. I think everybody in this pack knows there's still a lot of ski racing left, and with the Murderbakken in that second lap, there's still a chance for the race to break open, so you want to preserve a little bit of energy for that.
Coming up on 36.5 minutes into this 2x10K skiathlon. The classic leg is done. They are in the freestyle mode and nearing the finish of the first of 2 5K laps. Kendall Kramer, 2 Americans in the top 10. That's Kendall Kramer in your picture there at the back of this train of 3, which is also holds Lynn Svan and Nadja Kalin, I believe, no, Maya Dahlquist. And I think Nora Sonis is the one. No, yeah, it's Nora Sonis, I believe. So Kramer, skiing with Sonis, and I think Dahlquist in that group. And look who has made the gap up to the leaders. Bib number 2, Moa Ilar. Suddenly, there's another strong finisher in freestyle skiing, and Moa Ilar, the world number 2, is right on the tails of Jessie Diggins. And Daria Nepraeva goes to the front of a World Cup field for the first time of her career and forces her own pace on the group.
Well, if we think back to the skiathlon in Trondheim in December, it also kind of played out as a pack race. There were some attacks that tried to be made, but really everyone stayed together. You had the top 10, were within about 15 seconds of each other at the finish. So it really came down to that final kilometer when things broke up.
At 14 kilometers, they'll have the bonus points. Right now, Nepraeva, the one trying to chase him. 15, big 15. She's just 23 years old. Independent neutral athlete. Came on to the World Cup right before the turn of the new year. And now more skiers trying to come up from behind. That's bib 10. And for Norway, that is Nora Sonis. Kendall Kramer still hanging on at the 11.4 kilometer mark to a 10th place spot, 10th place finish if she can stay there. This is the chase group now of 3, which includes Kendall Kramer from Fairbanks, Alaska.
Now training with the APU Nordic Ski Center in Anchorage.
It's your club, Keegan's own club.
Well, I mean, I think what you've seen in the United States is a lot of the athletes have tended gravitated towards these strong training clubs now. And I think that's been important for the development of the sport, because the U.S. is such a huge geographic country. You need to be surrounded by, high quality training partners. It's important to have those ways to kind of test yourself. And so there's APU in Alaska has been one of those strong training groups. And then of course Stratton in Vermont, where Jessie Diggins trains. And so I think Kendall Kramer finished eligibility and decided, I want to make a go at this full-time ski racing thing and want to be a part of a good program.
If she can stay where she is, what do you think this will do for Kendall Kramer today?
And there are the bonus points.
There they are. 15. Diggins gets the 15 points. Weng gets 12. Ilar 10. And on down to the top 10. There's Sonis will get the 2 points. And now Kendall Kramer fighting it out for the 10th spot at the time check and the bonus points. And she's going to take a point.
I think this is a really important day for Kendall Kramer because she has spent a full season on the World Cup now. She's gotten to see what it's like to travel and be up against the world's best every single weekend. And she's been fighting mid-pack. So to have a result today where you actually can see the leaders and feel in the hunt, that's a great way to end the season because, like I said, she's kind of just post NCAA. I think that the next few years could be really fruitful for her if she can just build her experience, and you need these votes of confidence in there. You can be back in the 40s and 50s, but every once in a while you need to know that there's hope and you belong, and she's getting that today.
Well, she's never quite ski raced like she has today in Falun. It's a big step forward for Kendall Kramer. She's got 5 kilometers between her and a groundbreaking top 10 result potentially. Meanwhile, ahead of her, 8 athletes together in 4.8 seconds. These are your contenders for the win in Falun with 5 kilometers left. Led by Heidi Weng, who's been ever present at the front. Jessie Diggins in second, Frida Carlson in third. Carlson not able to ski away from this group. It's kind of what I was wondering going into this. Would we see a Frida Carlson come out and obliterate and win by a couple minutes? That's not going to happen at this point. It is going to be, and Heidi Weng and Frida Carlson both know, they're looking at each other coming around this corner, but they got to do something about the yellow bib behind her, because they're not going to win likely in the sprint. And you have to watch Lynn Svan there too. Lynn Svan, the Olympic champion, she can outsprint all of them for the win.
I was about to say, I wonder if anyone's told them that they have the Olympic sprint champion sitting in the pack looking very comfortable right now. They are looking around. I think they are kind of trying to size up who is in this pack, because that's really going to play into the strategy. Someone like a Frida Carlson cannot afford to wait to that last loop on the sprint course.
And here we go. Frida Carlson to the front of the field with, as if on cue from Keegan Randall, taking the advice without even hearing her. Goes to the front of the pack and so now starts to try to stretch it out. And if she's going to do it, she's trying to do it to drop that woman right there. Bib 32. It's almost like the television producer and us all are thinking the same thing here. As Svan hangs on at the back of the field and the pace quickens. Smart move by Frida Carlson. But oftentimes when you're the one who makes the move, you're the one who gets nipped at the line.
Yep. And this is, it's a nice, long, drawn-out climb. So it's subtle, but it's also not an easy place to make a really decisive move. You've got to like really turn the screw and hope that you almost break the spirit of the other athletes in this group.
Already that spirit being broken. You can see a little gap between Diggins and Fosnes. Fosnes, Svan, and Ilar dropping off the pace ever so slightly, as is Nadja Kalin of Switzerland. And Sonis is just in no man's land.
She's just been dangling the whole time, and this is where, again, like earlier in the race, there were some critical moments. She needed to bridge up because skiing this alone is so difficult.
Gone through the 15-kilometer mark now. 3/4 of this race in the books. And Kendall Kramer fighting for her first top 10 of her career right there in this threesome with Maya Dahlqvist, and she's between her and one of the revelations of the Norwegian team this year, Nora Sonis, or excuse me, Simpson Larsen, Carleen Simpson Larsen. Simpson Larsen went to the Olympics for the Norwegians. Was not somebody that anybody really had their tabs on for the Norwegian Olympic team. In fact, the Norwegian Olympic team went with Heidi Weng and 7 newcomers to the Olympics. They had almost entire debut Olympics for their entire team. Gap opening up now. Diggins giving a little bit of space to the leaders as Frida Carlson continues to pound the pace at the front of the field. Weng, who has not won since 2022, is right on her heels, as is Nepreva, who has never been on a podium.
So as they come around this loop here at the bottom, they're now at the base of the Murderbakken, and I think if there's going to be a move, it's got to be now.
Nepreva was a world junior champion in 2022, the last time Heidi Weng won a World Cup. It's an Olympiad ago, but Nepreva at 22 could try to take her first podium today. And now Heidi Weng strikes out early on this last lap. And this is a decisive move, and this has to be matched if anybody wants to beat her. She's going for it from early and far out from the finish line.
Well, she might have heard you, Chad. Hasn't won a race all season. Is this her opportunity?
She hasn't won a race in 4 years, but she's been on the podium 5 times. It gets tiring looking up at the top step, and Heidi Weng has had enough of it. She is going for the win, and she doesn't have anybody who's making a credible challenge.
As strong as this move is, there is a lot of gradual terrain coming off the top of this hill, and if you blow up your legs by climbing too hard, there's still an opportunity that other athletes can suck back in if they are, like Jessie Diggins, we know she's really good at the transitional terrain. If she can just keep it close over the top. They are not free and clear yet.
This is the time check at 16.4 kilometers. When they hit this time check, they will go 3.6 kilometers to the finish. Still a long way out. This is a bold move. We don't see this happen very often. But Heidi Weng made it decisive. Diggins trying to struggle to get back on the pace. Nepreva is blown off the back. And Lynn Svan, it's proven too much for her. This has been a move that's working to drop Lynn Svan. And I would say the move was made almost entirely with her in mind.
Yeah, Diggins as well. I mean, you have to know that if Jessie is able to be in the hunt into that last kilometer, she's so savvy. Just the way this Falun Stadium and final kilometer plays out.
Great skiing. Diggins still has an opportunity to take the win here. She's dangling off the back, and she's proven that she can recover quickly on the downhills as well. So there are your 6 leaders, and Heidi Weng has struck out to take the gold medal in Falun today in this World Cup 20-kilometer skiathlon. It's been a great move, a bold move, a move we don't see very often in the sport, and it's writing a great chapter, potentially for the woman at the front, Heidi Weng.
The key now is they've got to really work the terrain because they didn't get a lot of ground on Diggins there.
Jessie Diggins set a record yesterday with the 357th start of her career, the most of any skier in World Cup history. Closest behind her, guess who it is? 346. Heidi Weng, 346 starts, 123 podiums, 13 wins. She needs a win.
She needs a win, but look, I mean, Diggins is almost, like, she's pretty much back in contact here.
Well, what it did is separate the wheat from the chaff. These are the 3 strongest skiers in the world right now in this discipline, and they should be together at this point in the race with inside 3 kilometers to go. The next time check will be 19 kilometers, 1 kilometer from the finish line. Heidi Weng has just gone from the 3.5, almost the 4 kilometer mark, and just thrown caution to the wind and try to win this old-fashioned style. Just a pure guts race. See Jessie trying to regroup herself, trying to build up her confidence to stay with these 2 athletes. The pace is torrid. If Jessie didn't think they caught Heidi Weng, she puts another move on them. Diggins in her signature tuck, looking back. Nobody there, Jessie. It's just the 3 of you.
Her skis look like they're gliding really well, so she's able to just use the draft off Frida Carlson here.
Gives her a little push, let Frida know she's there. The exciting final kilometer of this 20-kilometer skiathlon. Prior to this season, Jessie Diggins had never won a skiathlon. She won in Trondheim in December. Her first World Cup win in this discipline. She has been nearly dropped by that leader, bib number 4 there in the red suit, Heidi Weng. But Diggins is back on the lead pack. And Svan is trying to get back in contact as well. It doesn't look like enough space to make up. I don't think she's got enough time to get to this lead pack though by the finish. Diggins' technique's starting to come apart a bit. She's definitely tired. They come back together, and Heidi Weng keeps pushing. But now Frida makes a move.
Yeah, I think Heidi Weng has realized she tried. It didn't work. She's got to change tactics at this point and try to bring back a little bit more energy for that those final 2 climbs on the sprint course.
Diggins still not willing to let go. But look at Lynn Svan. The telephoto lens might be played a little closer than it actually is. But she is trying to inch back to within contact where she can put a final burst and surprise these 3. Diggins keeps bobbling off the back just a little bit on these gradual climbs, but brings it back on the downhills. Well, it started out as a very cordial affair, and now it's turned into a slugfest in the final 2 kilometers. And Frida Carlson and Heidi Weng are dealing the blows. Jessie Diggins is trying to match them, but hasn't given a definitive countermeasure yet.
She doesn't need to at this point. She is, as long as she has contact, she knows she can ski that final downhill really well. But if she's feeling good, she's going to have the advantage of the draft as they come into that final sprint course. And if she's feeling good, she might decide to try and go early. It's nice to have a few different options in your in your hand.
We can think back to the 20-kilometer freestyle in Ruka 2 years ago, where she lost the pole and lost her glove. But she also came off the back of that group several times in the final 4 kilometers. She did again the next year when she won that event in Ruka. And she has not come off this pack quite as far as she did in Ruka. She looked like she, with about 4 kilometers left, it looked like she didn't have a chance, and she still found her way to the front and the win. So Diggins still sitting in third. It's now Frida Carlson. She's throwing everything she can at this final climb, a kilometer out from the finish. Heidi Weng looks good and is challenging. Jessie Diggins, I still don't think Jessie is all out yet. Just marking.
And she knows her skis are good. She can afford just that little gap over the top if she skis the downhill well.
3 titans of the sport battling it out on the future World Championship course next year. Jessie Diggins will not be there. Frida Carlson has said it will be her final, and Heidi Weng has said nothing. The 3 athletes coming down to the finish. This will be Jessie Diggins' final finish line in Falun. Can she make it another miracle victory? She's getting a little bit of a gap put on her again by Frida Carlson's push up this final climb that will turn sharp left and down into the stadium. Lynn Svan in the background, unable to make up the ground. She's carrying Neprayeva, who tried to make a move a little too far out. Perhaps a little too young and not experienced enough to win today, but Neprayeva in the top 5. Diggins stumbling over the top, and she is exhausted. She's trying to catch back up. She does a couple of hop skates to try to will herself forward, but you can see the damage done to Diggins. She's tired.
Yeah, that was unexpected. It was kind of seeming like it was just playing, although she might know that it's actually having a little bit of extra ground can really help. It amplifies the draft somehow.
Frida Carlson, Heidi Weng, Jessie Diggins trying to take the victory here. Diggins will not have another chance after this. And Diggins slingshots up into second spot ahead of Heidi Weng, but she stumbles, misses a pole plant, and still has a fight to get back into the winning position. Still trailing by third, Frida Carlson leads the 3 into the finishing stretch in Falun. It's a barn burner of a skiathlon to finish out this weekend in Falun. Everybody into the tuxedo. Jessie Diggins does this better than anybody else. And now she goes to the poles. A 3-way sprint for the win in Falun against the titans of the sport. Heidi Weng is now 1 in 4 years. She's got the lead right now, trying to bring it home. Diggins is coming around her, but Heidi Weng, will she be denied? No, Heidi Weng will take the win, I believe.
Wow, that
Diggins
was close.
1/10 back. Heidi Weng pulls the rabbit out of the hat after 4 years and gets the victory in Falun.
By 0.1 of a second. That's the drama we asked for, folks.
Carnage for our entertainment. Great race by Heidi Weng. You have to tip your hat to her. Jessie Diggins gave it everything she had after by all accounts, a tough Olympics with the skis. Still had a bronze medal, but you knew that she had more in her, and she proved it today. She takes second. Carlson, the dominant figure of the Olympic Games, finishes 0.9 back in third. And Heidi Weng is back, ladies and gentlemen. Win number 14.
That was just such gutsy skiing by Heidi Weng. She made this race interesting. I don't think Frida Carlson had it in her to try and go today, and so Heidi definitely made that, and I think this has to be a bit of an emotional moment for Jessie Diggins, having been in this position yourself, like knowing that it's the last time that you're racing in a venue that's been so important to you. So going to take away a great race. Like, I know she loves these head-to-heads, leave it all out there type finishes.
I think, I mean, everybody wants to win.
Everybody wants to win, but you know, I think she, you know, she always says as long as she gives it her best, that's what she's really after. And
I don't think there's any doubt that she did today. I don't think there's any doubt that she did today. It was a great race. It was a great race. And what a way for Heidi Weng to win. She's been the bridesmaid now for going on half a decade. I mean, she has the win 4 years ago, but, you know, we really haven't seen it. Just 13 wins in 346 starts. And she lived through the era of Marit Bjørgen and Tracy Johaug and had to, you know, that's why it's only her 14th win after so many races. But what a deserving win for her. That was great.
Yeah, she has, like, just been one of those people that just keeps at it, you know, has had plenty of success, but also plenty of adversity.
Rest of the field trailing in. Mackey from Canada in Gagnon in the top 20, 20th for Mackey, 17th for Gagnon. And Kendall Kramer in 9th spot. Hats off to Kendall Kramer on a great race here in Falun. And hopefully that'll give her some motivation to keep fighting for the future. As Tira Udensven comes in 25th. And Alina Lundland in 26th for Sweden in the home club. Carolina Hoffman from Germany will come in 27th. 49 athletes on the start. So Kramer in 9th at the finish line.
Yeah, really great skiing by Kendall Kramer because she had obviously a really strong classic leg, but it looked like in the beginning of the skate, maybe the wheels were coming off a little bit. Her legs looked a little stiff to me, but she was able to kind of keep patient and work her way back, and she took down Dahlquist and Sandnes and Simpson Larson in the end.
Great race for her, for Kramer. And like you said, Keegan, the transition from the classic to freestyle, it's something you have to get a little bit used to. And you can see it in Kendall Kramer that she faltered a little bit there in that first 2 kilometers, but she came roaring back. She didn't let that transition really affect her too terribly much, and gets her first top 10 of her career. Congrats, Kendall Kramer. 2 Americans in the top 10. Kramer in 9th, Diggins in 2nd.
And that's really important. We see Haley Swerbo come across the finish line there, and Rosie Brennan. You know, we've had these great veteran role model athletes on the U.S. women's team, Jessie Diggins, Rosie Brennan, and they're now sunsetting their careers. So when you see Kendall Kramer come and have a big result, you know, we know Novi McCabe has had top 10s in the on the World Cup. You know, that's a bright future.
Move 14 coming to the line. This is Katrina Gantz, veteran of the Italian team. She'll come in for the 38th spot.
What a great podium. We got a great showdown we hoped for today.
Heidi Weng, once again, is a winner. And she takes the victory in the 20-kilometer pursuit in Falun. And it's got to feel great. Jessie Diggins second by just 0.2 of a second. Frida Carlson keeps it 0.9 of a second, separating the 3 athletes at the top of the podium. And that was a treat. That was a great race.
Yeah, and Frida Carlson now does have a Falun result that can get, you know, a podium finally.
It really was Heidi Weng's race. She made the race the final kilometers by just making a bold attack from the front that dropped everybody else. And you needed your suspenders on today. Hang on to this group. And Diggins nearly creeps up on Weng, but Weng with a foot throw just had the momentum. And you could see Weng's fitness from the Olympics, that she is in a better spot than she's been in years. She had the COVID problems, and she almost falls forward onto the finishing line, and it gets her the win. But it's nice to see her back. She's been through so much in the last 5 years with the COVID and heart and getting over it and being healthy enough to even come back and ski race. And she's number 1 today.
Yeah, and that was a textbook lunge. I mean, when you're just at your limit like that, it's hard to keep the coordination going. And just the way she was able to execute the timing of that got her the win today.
Here's Novi McCabe for the United States. She's coming into the 42nd spot with bib 42. Great to see Novi back on the World Cup circuit. Had some struggles with staying healthy this fall, and found her fitness to make the Olympic team, and went to her second Olympics in Milan Cortina. Bib 37 now coming through. This is France's Melissa Gall. All of her best performances really coming in the sprint events. Gall into the finishing line now. Bib 37 will take you guys to the finish here. There we go. Emma Albrecht from the United States across the line in 44th spot. Behind her, bib 48. This is Magdalena Kobielus of Poland. 45th across the line of 49 starters on the day. Things winding down in Falun. The athletes will pack up their wax trucks and their bags and move to the east, to Lahti, for a double competition stop on the 7th and 8th of March next weekend. And it'll be a freestyle sprint in Lahti, followed by an interval start freestyle 10 kilometer. And then the big week in Norway. They'll move to Drammen on the 12th of March. As we see the recap of today's thriller in Falun. Drammen will take place on March 12th, which is a Thursday, and then on the 14th, the 50-kilometer freestyle in Oslo, the grand dam of venues and events. The 50K of Oslo is one of the biggest and most coveted and cherished victories that one can ask for as a ski racer. And that will come up next in a week from next Saturday on the 14th of March. And then they'll all be coming our way. Coming to North America, to Lake Placid, New York, for a Friday interval start 10K Classic, a Saturday freestyle sprint, and a Sunday 20-kilometer mass start freestyle to end this 2026 Olympic season. And I believe that might be the end of our 20-kilometer skiathlon today, as bib number 46 comes across the line and from Sweden. That is Emilia Eriksson. And there are the results. 1/10 of a second between Heidi Weng for her 14th career victory over in Frida Carlson, 9/10 back. Svan 4th, Napareva 5th, Fosnes 6th, Nadja Kalin 7th, Moa Ilar 8th, Kendall Kramer in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Nora Sanes of Norway. That was a good ski race. That was a fun one to call.
Well, I loved the way in which it unfolded. You know, that there were some attacks, there was a lot of tactical skiing, and then there really was the last all out, you know, and to go on the Murderbakken with still 4 kilometers of skiing left, that really made it exciting.
And Jessie Diggins, once again, involved in the thrilling finish. She finishes second today, but absolutely solidifies herself in the lead of the overall World Cup standings. And she's going to try to take home her 4th Crystal Globe. She already has the record for World Cup starts. She broke that yesterday with 357. Pretty cool way to end her career.
Well, you think about, I mean, Aino Kaisa Saarinen had previously held the record until yesterday when Jessie Diggins broke that. And then you think, well, once Jessie, Jessie's going to add several more before the season is done, and then, that it's just such a big legacy and gap. And you think of like who's going to be the next one to actually challenge that record. I mean, I think it's going to be a while.
Well, if Heidi Weng sticks around, she can do it next year, because
it's true.
The gap between Heidi Weng and Jessie Diggins is just 11 races. If Heidi Weng wants to come around and race 11 times next year, she can have that record if she wants, just by getting on the start line and finishing. She's at 346, Jessie at 357. They grew up, they're the same birth year. But Heidi Weng sat out a couple of years after the COVID problem that she had trying to get her health back, and that probably put her behind Jessie in the number of race starts that she's had. But she not only gets her 346th race start today, she gets her 14th win, and that is, they've been few and far between. 123 podiums, but 14 wins. It's an odd statistic, but if you followed skiing through Heidi Weng's career, you understand why that is. And that is because she had teammates who are among the best in history in the sport. Both overlap her ski career. Therese Johaug and Marit Bjørgen. She evolved as a 19-year-old into Marit Bjørgen's and Therese Johaug's world, and rarely beat them, as did anybody else.
Well, it's both a blessing and a curse, to come in at 19 years old and be able to have teammates that are so strong and learn from them, and it really pushes you to be better, and I think that's why she had a lot of early success. But then it also means that opportunities can be a little bit limited, and you're not always in the hunt for the win, and that just is a little different psychologically.
I've talked about this phenomenon. We also had Krista Parmakoski, who when she started was Lahtenmäki. She was a junior, went to the Tour de Ski as still a 19-year-old, and I think she finished on the podium the first year might have been 20 years old, but she was Heidi Weng, Jessie Diggins, and Krista Parmakoski are all the same age. They were juniors at the same time, and Parmakoski and Heidi Weng were far more decorated, far harder to beat at that time for Jessie Diggins. But Jessie Diggins has really come back, and particularly with the classic technique. And we saw that today in the way she skied this 10K Classic, the first half of the skiathlon. That if you look back to where she was even certainly 10 years ago, Jessie has transformed her classic technique in a way that I've never seen anybody at the top of the world do. And I think you probably agree with me, Keegan. It was a pretty amazing transformation that she's created for herself, and kind of one that it was necessitated if she was going to be the skier that we're celebrating now.
If you want to win skiathlons, if you want to be in the hunt for the overall, you have to be well balanced. And Classic was not as strong for her, and she has done a great job of figuring it out. I think the U.S. team has also been able to kind of get the skis stronger and stronger, and that's certainly a part. It goes hand in hand with the technique. The resources that have gone into the skis for the U.S. team have just been really increasing over the last 8 years, and you have to have that if you're going to be in an overall position like Jessie Diggins.
And I will have to say, I think she has a great relationship with her ski sponsor, Solomon. They do a lot of work. They do a lot of groundbreaking work for her personally, getting her the skis to work the way she needs to. And that's a big part of the sport. We don't talk about it much, but we were working in the Olympics with folks that have not seen much ski racing, and they were kind of baffled by how the skis matter, how the construction matters. But working with athletes, as you know, Keegan, you probably worked with Fisher all the years you worked with them. Having a relationship with your ski company, your ski brand, is really critical to being the best skier in the world.
Well, it does, and I skied on Fisher skis, so I always had to be second in line behind Marit Bjørgen and a couple of the other athletes there. But no, when you're the top athlete in the world, the ski companies see value in trying to really work with you to get the best skis out there. And then Jessie Diggins is also her coach, Jason Cork, also serves as her wax tech, and so the continuity that they have had together over going on 15 years now, I think also really matters, because Cork has been at every venue, at every race. He's with her skis all the time, every time for 15 years, and pairing that with what he knows about Jessie and her training plan, it's a pretty interesting combination. I don't know of another situation where the coach is the tech paired with an athlete like Jessie Diggins.
That was the question I was on my tongue, so you took it right from me. But I would venture to say I can't. There may be somebody out there. There's a near fall by Jessie on the climb. I would venture to say there probably is nobody quite like the Jason Cork, Jessie Diggins model right now, and I think that has actually been a really big part of the success story of Jessie Diggins is that Jason Cork is a big part of Jessie's trust system. And if Jessie needs one thing, and any athlete at a championship level, you need trust in your entourage and the factors that make performances happen. And as the folks that we work with to cover the Olympics who don't understand the sport as much, it's hard to conceptualize unless you're deep in the weeds of how skis perform. It's hard to conceptualize how critical the testing and the understanding of the skis, the base, the structure, the waxes, how it all goes in to the alchemy that turns into a great pair of skis to win races like this today. And Cork, the Jason Cork factor that you bring up, I think is a big one for Jessie Diggins over the course of her career.
Yeah, it's like you could call it destiny. You know, Jason Cork had started as the coach at CXC as Jessie was a young athlete and starting to think about ski racing full time, and then they had started working together and it had been going well. So then Jason got brought into the national team coaching staff and has just really been able to be there with Jessie every step of the way.
There's the gap of the overall World Cup between Moa Ilar and Jessie Diggins. She extends her lead, 262 points today over Ilar, and the coronation of Jessie Diggins for her fourth Crystal Globe is looking ever more likely as long as she can stay healthy and, knock on wood, make it to the final 6 races left. Today
Anyway, you're the winner of the 20K Skiathlon here in Falun. How was this?
It was. I feel so good. So it was just, in the last meter, I was not. I don't know if I was in the first in the finish line, but I feel so strong today. So I feel like I can do everything. So I tried to get going fast in the Mørabakken the last time. So I hope everyone can get more stiff than me. So I feel like that was a good plan.
It was quite a fight there with Jessie and Frida.
Yeah, I feel like when I saw it was only Frida and Jessie, I feel like, okay, that's a podium today, but then I feel like today is my day, and it was quite good.
Today is your day. Heidi, congratulations.
Thank you.
Today is Heidi Weng Day. She gets her 14th win in Falun and in a spectacular sprint finish. And you need to have days like this to keep going. And I'm not sure if Heidi Weng will keep going, but she sure should if she feels the need to. She's got a few years to get back, I think, with some disappointment. And today was a big step back. This is comeback complete for Heidi Weng.
Yeah, I think this is the cherry on top, really, because her performances at the Olympics this season, just kind of her overall stability this season has been like, oh, Heidi Weng is back. And when you're ending a season with that kind of feeling, I think it would be hard for her to think about walking away. So if she's still feeling motivated and happy and healthy, we could see a strong era for Heidi Weng still to come.
Another look at Doug DeBold. He was the chief of the organizing committee for the Minneapolis World Cup 2 years ago. A great friend of mine. And he's technical delegate today in Falun. Here is Christina Oskulin-Fosnes in the 6th spot. Has her best result from this season, which was 10th in the 10-kilometer classic in Ruka to kick off the season. Then Nepraeva with 5th place today. I believe that's her best World Cup finish so far. It is, yeah. She goes from 8th to 5th today for her personal best. Lynn Svan tried to get back on the train, but didn't quite get there. She finishes 4th. And Frida Carlson, all smiles, not as dominant as she was in the Olympic Games, but she's got a smile in 3rd place on home snow today in Sweden, and she is beaten only by the yellow bib of Jessie Diggins from Afton, Minnesota, who came up 1/10 of a second shy today, but all smiles as well, because I think everybody feels the joy for this athlete, a champion athlete through and through, has not had her fair share of chances at victories for how good of a skier she was, and she had even fewer when she nearly had to quit ski racing 4 seasons ago after a tough bout with COVID. She's found her way back, and she's on top for the first time in 4 years. Heidi Weng, your winner in Falun.
Extra hug there for Minnesota.
A couple of co-Minnesotans, yeah. Minnesotans always know You can always sniff each other out in a crowd, even on a podium.
Even over the smell of that cheese.
Well, that is not American. That is not Minnesota cheese. That is Swiss cheese through and through. But
Thank you.
That cheese is always a nice reward to the wax techs who we talked about how hard they've been working coming off an Olympic Games, driving all the way up here to Sweden, and then having to do a full sprint day yesterday, and then skiathlon, which always means double the skis that you're preparing, men's and women's on the same day. So they've earned their cheese today.
well, the hangover weekend from the Olympics in Falun is complete, and it is Heidi Weng who thrilled the crowd and thrilled us with a spectacular win, taking the victory from the world #1 Jessie Diggins by 1/10 of a second. Frida Carlson, the queen of the Olympic Games in Cortina, she takes the 3rd spot, and that is how it will end in Falun. 4 more stops in the World Cup to come. Lahti next weekend, the weekend after midweek after that, Thursday, Drammen, then Oslo, then Lake Placid. If you are on the North American continent, we implore you, come see Jessie Diggins' final races in Lake Placid. It'll be a blast. Keegan and I will be there, and we hope to see you there too. But that's a few weeks and weekends away. Enjoy FIS World Cup Cross-Country Skiing in the meantime. Have a great Sunday. For Keegan Randall, I'm Chad Salma saying so long from Falun, where Heidi Weng is a winner again.